Hi, I'm Megan Skidmore, and this is the Beyond the Shadow of Doubt. I'm a woman, daughter, sister, spouse, mother, life coach, and person of faith on a mission to normalize asking questions and allowing doubts, not only in a faith journey, but in all aspects of life. Join me in bringing this traditionally taboo topic out of the shadows of shame and into the light. I'm a firm believer that we normalize through more talking and engaging in discussion. More talking peels back, exposes, and erases the layers of shame associated with questions and doubts. When we're more authentic about our journey, we are more powerful because shame has no power in the face of authenticity. Beyond the Shadow of Doubt is a proud member of the Dialogue Podcast Network, which is a part of the Dialogue Journal found at dialoguejournal.com/podcast network. Founder Eugene England was a Mormon writer, teacher, and scholar who wrote, "My faith encourages my curiosity and awe. It thrusts me out into relationship with all creation and encourages me to enter into dialogue. My hope is that this podcast is an extension of that vision." Welcome, and thanks for joining for part 2 of my interview with Brother Tom Christofferson. Make sure to listen to part 1 in episode 43. Today we pick up where we left off discussing the importance of mutual respect towards and trust in our friends and loved ones as they navigate their faith journey, even if, and especially when, they don't look the same as yours. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this or any episode. Just shoot me an email at hello@meganskidmorecoaching.com. I appreciate you saying that. I have shared before on this podcast that I have suffered from depression since the time I was a late teen. And there have been times in my life where I just haven't quite had the words to express to somebody what it feels like when you're kind of in an episode, so to speak. Yeah. It's something that I experience and I know what it's like. There might be others who have had similar experiences. But that really gave me a tender heart and was a bridge for me in realizing, you know what? No, I don't necessarily understand the transgender, the non-binary, the Q+ experience, but that doesn't negate it. That doesn't mean it's not valid. It doesn't mean it's not real. And it doesn't mean I need to fill in the blanks for them and tell them what's really going on, because in some ways, I know what that felt like when I have experienced significant depression and to be misunderstood and not seen for who I really was or what was really going on in my life. I think that's a really important concept that you share, is to just allow for differences and just, you don't have to understand them to show respect, to show love, to be interested and ask, what is that like for you? And to be genuinely, lovingly curious.
Yeah, I think so. Our friend Ben Shalati had a line in his book that I've always wished I had thought of first. But toward the end of the book, he says, if this book has been meaningful to you and you have LGBTQ friends that you think would just benefit by it, don't go out and buy a copy to give them. Go out and spend the time with them to let them tell you their experience.
Yeah.
Instead of having them see mine.
I do remember that.
And maybe this all feels very timely for me at the moment, because I had wrestled with with feeling I didn't want to be alone the rest of my life and trying to figure out the best way to approach that over the course of the last several years even. And as I was coming to a conclusion about what I felt would be best, and counseling with people whose opinions I trust deeply, including my local church leader. And after several conversations with him, he said to me, Tom, as I have prayed about the conversations we're having, and to be specific, it's whether I felt like it was appropriate for me to date again, and with the idea of being open to what companionship might look like. And so I'd been frank with him about what that might be, and he said the answer I keep getting is the Lord trusts you, and so do I. So you will tell me if I can be useful to you. And that was a really impactful moment for me to hear someone I really admire and who I know cares for me, to say that. And it's and I have felt at various points of this process, in my religious tradition at the moment,
Yeah.
the preferred choice is celibacy for a gay man who is not feeling like marriage to a woman could be a joyful thing for both, which is my case. And so I know it has made other people who love me uncomfortable, and people who felt like they understood the story I had told about my family, my ward family, and my journey. That somehow this indicates a lack of faith or backsliding or whatever, or even more profound for some of them, a feeling that I'm giving permission to other people to create problems in their lives in a spiritual sense. And so it's been really, this is something that's really hitting me in the heart at the moment, is I don't want to feel like I'm letting other people down or disappointed in the choices I'm making or how I'm trying to move forward. When I feel like what I'm trying to do is have some integrity in the process, personal integrity,
right,
and trying to be guided in the ways that I can. And I don't want to feel like I'm letting someone else down, but I feel like I have to go where I'm, in a sense, being led.
I think that those who identify in the LGBTQ plus community, more than any other community, maybe, I don't know. I don't know all of the communities, and we live in a gigantic world, but I have seen them and continue to see them. They're living their lives for others versus for themselves. Not always, but especially when you're younger and your identity, you're still figuring out who you are and what your place in the world is. So I think what you're talking about is really significant, and it's really important. This idea, I mean, you were blessed that you had a leader that said, God trusts you, I trust you.
Yes.
Because not everybody has that favorable of a response, right, from their leaders. And so you're moving towards something I really wanted to talk about, and that is having these types of conversations, both within our families and that structure and within our faith communities, because these are people, like you said, these are people that you love, and you said yourself, they're uncomfortable. Maybe we can talk a little bit about that, because there's, again, this tension of, this is me. I want to be true to me, that personal integrity piece. And then there are people that you love very deeply. And this is something I work with individuals as a coach, is being okay with other people being wrong about you, being okay with other people having their thoughts about you. Those say more about them than about, me or whoever their comments or thoughts might be directed to, and that I can allow them to have their path. The hope is that they can reciprocate. I would love to talk a little bit more about this, because I believe the only way it can get better is if we address it, why it's hard to talk about some of these things in our faith communities, why it's hard to raise our hand and be the one to bring up that viewpoint. It could even be factual, but it might just be different from what is generally brought up.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard. And I'm wondering about your experience. I've had experiences, but you're the guest today. I would like to hear. I'm talking too much.
I'm living a current experience with a local congregation that is teaching me a lot about how humble people love each other and deal with difference. There's a lot of diversity in the ward. I live in Phoenix, in the city, and so their members of the congregation are Native American, African American, Polynesian, Islanders, people who may or may not even be documented residents here. Age variances, most are single, but there are some really wonderful extended families, et cetera, et cetera. So all the diversity is present in that congregation.
Yes, definitely.
And it's not, may not be the most polished in terms of how services are conducted or come across, or the participation of every individual. But what I have really experienced in this congregation is a willingness to love everyone wherever they are. It's powerful, and I have invited other friends to join me and attend services in that congregation, and each one has said, "My gosh, I can feel a difference here. That these people really care."
Are these friends not members of your faith, or just
some yes,
some yes, some no?
Yeah.
Okay, just people that don't
members
normally
of other
go.
congregations, or people currently would describe themselves as having no faith, but feeling that this was a place where everyone wasn't just welcomed but was loved. and there are political differences in that congregation as well. So when people make comments in a Sunday school class, as an example, it's been fascinating to me to watch, and to as a confession here, to have to bite my tongue sometimes, and then just to watch what happens, which is someone can express their view, their understanding of how a gospel topic we're studying relates to their current life, or their understanding of it, and it might not be the same as mine. It probably isn't, but there's a willingness in that congregation to let everyone share. And simply to share. That needs to then jump up and refute what has been said. A need for 12 people to come and say, "Yes, that's right, that's right, that's right." It isn't a "that's right, that's wrong." The sense I get among this wonderful faith community is that's true. You're sharing your experience. That is true, and we're grateful for it. I'm going to share my experience, and it's true, and it's not the same. But just this willingness to allow each person to share what it looks like to be them at this moment, and how they've formed their conclusions about meaning in life, and what that means day to day in the world. So I feel very fortunate that this is my laboratory of learning right this moment. I have sometimes said that there's the Episcopal Cathedral in town, Trinity, is really beautiful, and from time to time I'm really delighted to join services there. The dean of the cathedral is gay, and sometimes I've said I go to the church that I believe, and I go to the church that believes me. They're just not the same church. But I don't want you to take that too literally or seriously, but it is there's a feeling in a congregation, in this one I think more so than many I have experienced, of just a willingness to suspend judgment and double down on love. And I wish that was everybody's experience in every faith community.
It sounds like your current laboratory of learning, your current faith community is ideal. It sounds like at the very minimum, they're validating whatever is shared, whatever is chosen by the individual to be made known to the group, that it's validated.
Yeah.
And it's such an easy thing to do, but we often do the exact opposite.
Right.
Whether intentionally or not,
Yeah.
it's really hard for us to wrap our brains around experiences that are so different.
And I would also say I've been in other congregations where I didn't feel quite the connection. And undoubtedly some part of that responsibility was mine, how much I was investing versus what I was passively taking in.
That's fair.
But what I find in my experience is when I feel I'm in a congregation that has that kind of love and inclusion, the church is my ward. the church is my local congregation. And when I'm in a congregation that doesn't feel that way, the church is its headquarters, and all the doctrines and policies that feel discordant to me from time to time. And so, in some ways, I guess I really love the local experience I'm having right now, because it also lets me ignore some other things going on.
Because you don't feel judged.
Yeah.
Those around you are allowing you to cultivate your path in the way that you see it benefits or fits you or resonates with you in this moment of your life, of your life's journey, experience, all of it.
And they allow me to serve them. So
Yeah.
they're willing to accept my love as well as give me theirs.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. I'm going to have to get your pastor's name. I just interviewed.
Come visit me in Phoenix.
I will. I interviewed the lead pastor of the Cathedral of Hope here in Dallas, and it was a really awesome conversation. So I'd love to do another.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk a little bit about this, an article that was recently republished in LDS Living titled, "What Can We Learn from the Father of the Prodigal Son About Love?" And I just wanted to touch on this as we're talking about our experience with our families, particularly those in the LGBTQ community. And when questions and doubts start surfacing for them, that can be a very scary thing for them to share. I know I've read your book, and I know that you shared your parents were always loving and respectful and interested in your life.
We had our challenges, I would say, especially the first 2 years.
Okay, let's hear it. This is the meat. This is what we want to get into, because I was so touched by your depiction. It says, a closer look reveals that the central message of this story might be less about a wayward son or a jealous brother and much more about a loving, abundant father. So many themes to consider in this story. Currently, I'm hosting a podcast giveaway. Just leave a review on Apple Podcasts, screenshot it, and upload it to my Google Doc. After you review on Apple Podcasts, for a bonus entry, leave a rating on Spotify. The link to enter and to the Google Doc is in the show notes or in the bio of my Instagram profile. The thought occurred to me. I wonder if Brother Tom ever felt like he was assigned the title of, prodigal son, or the one who, and I'm not saying you were, but it was just curious to me. And you just said a minute ago, you said everything wasn't rosy.
No, it wasn't instantly perfect. There was a necessary period of trying to figure out what the new normal was going to be with my parents, myself, my brothers, myself. In the sense that at the beginning, after I had announced to them that the marriage had been annulled and I was leaving the church, lots of our communication felt really defensive. Anytime my parents said anything about church, I felt like this was code for "you've disappointed us," or "you're straying," or whatever it might be. And when I would say something about the happiness I was finding in new experience and engagement, they could feel defensive that I was saying what they believed was wrong. And so it took a bit, but we had to get to a point where we could communicate with each other about what each of us was finding meaningful, where we were finding happiness and whatever, and just allow that to be. It wasn't a comparison. It wasn't a reflection on another person's experience. It was just the telling of our own. And it took a while to get there. And I also say, I had wrestled with knowing that I was gay for more than a decade before including other people completely in that wrestle. And so, there's a process by which my parents also needed to spend some time figuring out their hopes and dreams for me that might happen in different ways than they had imagined, and some that might not happen at all. And so, it's just a deeply human process that ideally we can go through with all of its pain and difficulty without completely closing doors. I think, in some circumstances, we may need to take a little vacation or have a little psychological distance or physical distance for a time. But still, I think if we can keep a willingness to engage and a willingness to believe good intent on the part of the other person, over time, I think we'll generally find that relationships can really grow and can accommodate new realities and new information. And that I think at the same time, I worry sometimes, especially it seems like the younger a kid comes out, the more likely the parents are, because of the need to care and protect for a minor, the more likely they are to see everything outside as an enemy or a weapon. And because I came out when I was 25, it wasn't exactly the same thing for my parents. They could continue to hold on to their faith in the way they expressed it and understood it and engaged in it without feeling that was somehow a repudiation of my experience. I think that's a lot tougher when a kid's younger, for people to find that balance. But in any event, my hope is, at least as adults, that we allow each other our own ways of finding meaning and peace, and not require that other people do it exactly the same way we're doing it, or to believe that if you see things differently than I do, that means you don't love me. No, we just, I'm doing the best I can. You're doing the best you can. And we can indeed love each other, even though we don't fully understand or see things exactly the same way.
Yeah. God gave us two hands. We can hold one thing in this left hand and another thing in this right hand that might seemingly contradict, but yet they can coexist. And maybe they contradict, maybe they don't. I think what you said, to encourage them to go through all the pain without completely closing doors, to me, that's the definition of messy. We think things are going to roll out just so, especially if we add, if we think this life is a great big bowl of cookie dough and we add all the right ingredients that we're told to add and mix it just so that our result is going to be these, award-winning Toll House cookies or something. And it gets really messy when we realize, no, that's not the way it is. That's not the way it's actually going to happen for you. And so I think that can be the messy part, is allowing whatever to go on, whether it's for you or someone you love. Allow that without closing the doors, without making it mean anything about you, that you're now supposed to believe the same, that now you're condoning or not condoning. I really struggle with those terms. Just not making it mean anything about you as a parent, as a loved one, as a sister, as an aunt, as a whatever relation you might be, or even a friend. Just that you're just having different journeys. And I think to come back to love.
Similarly, that how the way we show love can vary from person to person too. So if I want to receive the love someone wants to give me, I don't get to tell them how to do it. That's same the other way. Like, I'm trying to show my love, and if you don't see that as love, then that just means you can't receive what I'm trying to give you. So I think there's over time, hopefully, I certainly have learned that there are a lot of ways that people want to show their love for me that I missed originally, because it didn't come in the way that's most natural to me or convenient to me or congruent to me. Then I didn't always recognize that other people were trying to show me that they love me. I think about that in my faith tradition as an example. Well, actually, it's much broader than that. But sometimes we hear hate the sin, love the sinner. That sort of dichotomy that doesn't work in my own way of thinking about it very effectively. But I just think I think we can be more impactful in sharing someone else's journey and load if we're willing to simply let them define both the journey and the load, and instead of us
Right.
telling them what their load is. Again, I think we
Exactly.
can, in my sense, I think we can ask God to help us be attuned to the needs of another,
Yes.
and to be useful to them. It's simply that our great desire in life is the
Yes,
first and second great
absolutely.
commandment, that our love for God grows as we feel greater love for those around us. And our love for those around us grows as we feel greater love from God. So it's kind of that constant prayer of, as I feel loved, help me to be useful in sharing it. As I see need, help me to know how to at least be a part of it.
I think we would all benefit so much more if our focus was on the divinity within each of us. If it was on, the love that we can have for another versus whether or not we think somebody is sinning or is not
Right.
following the right path or
And
doing what we
even
think they're
that
supposed to.
can come, pardon me, from a place of love. I think so many of the people who have wanted to tell me that in the next life,
Yeah.
I will have a wife and be able to proceed and where,
Mhm.
that doesn't feel like a great outcome to me, but I recognize that it comes from a place of love for them, because this is where they've found happiness and meaning and joy, and they want me to share it. So, again,
And
if I'm willing to just accept what they're offering is love, I don't have to see it in exactly the same way, to be grateful that they do feel love for me.
yeah, there's multiple different love languages. And unless you're choosing to expose yourself to what those might be, yeah, you could miss some things on both ends. I get that. I totally get that. Um, wow, this has been so amazing. You brought up some really important things, some points to ponder. Are there any other things that you would like to share, others to know about what it's like to journey in this space? It could be frustrations, struggles, just this intersection of identifying as LGBTQ plus and having, this conservative faith, LDS or otherwise.
Um, hmm, we've covered a lot of them. I guess the feeling that remains is from recent conversations I've had with people who are important in my life, who are wrestling with a feeling of rejection from their faith community, and sort of a bitterness that comes from feeling, I loved you and you didn't love me back. And I'm grateful that in my own journey, I felt like I was in control. I was choosing to go in the directions that were going to be meaningful for me. It wasn't like I was leaving something so much as was I was going toward something. And again, feeling I wanted to keep the best of everything. But I have been with some people who are deeply wounded by the feeling that the community that they embraced wholeheartedly and tried to serve and loved is not loving them back, and in fact is diminishing their experience or denigrating the value of what they're going through. And so I guess I don't know that I have an answer for that, other than just to say I hope that we can make that I can and each of us can make more room in our hearts for people who feel they've been wounded, even if that hasn't been my own experience. That I want to be more willing to simply dwell in that place, even when it's a place of bitterness, than I probably have been.
I think that goes back to what you mentioned your current faith community is able to do and create that safe space where when stories are shared, they're validated, they're not negated, words are not put into their mouths, or they don't have others trying to fill in the blanks for them. I think that's a really important step in just listening. That's how I believe we just listen to each other's hearts, and that is a big part of what makes room, because you hear and you see that person
Yeah.
for who they really are.
And
The last,
it has been hard for me to dwell in bitterness.
okay.
It's just a hard place for me to be. And so I guess to to be perfectly open here, that's the lesson I'm trying to learn, is how to be able to dwell in someone else's bitterness and just allow that to be.
That is hard.
Yeah.
That's one of those really uncomfortable human emotions and experiences.
And other than that, we've probably said it all, at least for today.
So the last question I like to ask my guests is, what does it mean to you to live beyond the shadow of doubt?
I can't conceive of living any other way. So I guess it means breathing. That's the nature of
I love
life,
it.
I think is that the doubt is what helps us refine belief.
I love it. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I like to get to know my guests a little bit. I have just a short list of questions. One word answers is all I'm looking for.
Okay.
Tell me, are you an introvert or an extrovert?
I am an introvert who is professionally extroverted.
Okay.
My career was in sales and client management.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Awesome. What is your favorite book?
It depends on what I'm reading right that moment.
Got it. Book of the day.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite artist?
No, not one. I have lots of them,
Lots of them.
but there I am looking right now at a painting by Walter Raines, and
Okay.
I love some work he's done. And behind me is the side of one you might recognize, which is the Danish artist of the angel comforting Christ in the Garden of Gethsemane.
Awesome.
Those are two near me right now that I love.
Varied tastes. I love it.
Yeah.
Are you a night owl or a morning lark?
Morning. I write, especially since I live in Phoenix. In the
Oh,
summer,
yeah.
I get up really early to go ride my
Yes.
bike.
Yeah. Otherwise, you're going to melt
Right.
or die.
Oh, you said these were one-word answers. I'm failing. Go ahead. Keep
No,
going.
you're doing awesome. Do you have a celebrity crush?
Uh,
I was so looking forward to this one. I ask it every
oh gosh. Well, I just saw Chris Hemsworth, so he'd have to be up there.
Okay. The Hemsworth. Let's love it. Okay. Do you do still or carbonated water, or are you a diet soda fan?
Still, I don't
Still.
like
And the furthest place you have traveled?
gosh. It's easier to say where I've not been. I have not been south of kind of the top tier of South America. And I have
Okay.
not been in Iceland or Greenland rather. So I've visited the other 5 continents.
Wow. You set the bar high.
Well, lots of it
Lots
was
on
in
my
my
bucket
career.
list.
So in my career, I did quite a lot
Oh,
of
yeah.
travel internationally.
Wow.
I don't know. Gosh, I'm gonna answer. Where is it? I really want to go next.
Okay.
It's
I like
Morocco.
that.
I've never been to Morocco, and I really want to
Oh,
go
yeah.
experience that.
Same. Awesome. You're a beautiful person. Thank you so much for your time today. Thank you for sharing
you.
your wisdom, your stories, your insight, and your love. Most importantly, I have felt that.
Okay,
So,
great to be with you. Thank you.
if folks wanted to connect with you, what would be the easiest way?
In the back of that first book, That We May Be One, I created an email address, which is thatwemaybe1@gmail.com.
Perfect.
So you're always welcome to use that.
We will put that in the show notes. Thank you so much.
Sure. Thanks.
Sending you love.
Thank you.
If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe and follow Beyond the Shadow of Doubt podcast. Also, don't forget to enter my podcast giveaway, where first prize is a $100 gift card. To do so, simply leave a review and a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. Upload a screenshot to my Google Doc. Share this giveaway with a friend. If your friend's name is drawn as winner, you both get a $100 gift card. All the details and the link to enter, including the Google Doc, is in the show notes or in the bio of my Instagram profile. Come join me in Hopeful Spaces, a Dallas Hope Charities component of Hopeful Discussions, which is sponsored by Mercedes-Benz Financial Services USA. Hopeful Spaces is a monthly parent, caregiver, and ally support group facilitated by Megan Skidmore Coaching. To join is free. Simply send an email to chc@dallashopecharities.org. Visit meganskidmorecoaching.com, where you can find this podcast as well as additional free resources. Check the podcast show notes on any platform for links to sources cited. Follow me on Facebook or Instagram for more and to send me a DM. To help the podcast grow, please follow, rate, and review, as well as share it with a friend.